What's going on, Draft League fans? It is GeneralTarheel bringing you the APA Low Tier Week 3 matchup versus Henry and the Baltimore Cotterollos, I believe. Something Weeby is waifu, potentially. I respect it. So we are going up here for a pretty interesting match, I would say. They got a few threats versus the team, but I actually have some pretty decent counters when it comes down to it. Some seem more perfect than others. So as you can see, we're trying to continue the undefeated streak as well, so hopefully we can do that. We're facing Meloetta. This is a very interesting Pokemon, very powerful Pokemon at that. Obviously having two forms with the main form and the Pirouette form, which it can change by using Relic Song. The physically offensive I think it's called Pirouette. Something like that. I'm stupid maybe. I have no clue. But either way, it changes to a normal fighting type instead of normal psychic, and it's got very good speed and very good physical attack, and I think it's a threat. Yeah, especially since it gets triple axle this generation, it doesn't make Pokemon such as Altaria a good defensive check to it. So I'm really careful of Meloetta in this week's matchup. Vikavolt, probably gonna be like a bulky Websmon, with like, I would say Sticky Webs, Roost, and Stabs probably being Volt Switch Bug Buzz. If they do bring a fully offensive, it'll probably be Choice Specs, and they'll probably click Energy Ball most of the time. Because, well, no, they could probably just click Bug Buzz, because I don't really have a good switch into that. Steelix is my ground type, obviously, but its special defense isn't that great. And Choice Specs Bug Buzz, 2 it goes. Steelix, Energy Ball does like 70% to it. So, it's a lot to take in with Steelix. Florges, very solid fairy type, obviously can be stopped by most steals, such as Steelix. But a very good wish passer and everything. I want to make sure I keep Steelix and Roserade healthy in order to deal with that. Dhelmise. Dhelmise is pretty scary offensively. It's also decent defensively because it is able to use Synthesis. It's got good natural defensive bulk, as well as just being a good solid Assault Vest user with Rapid Spin plus 3 attacks to get rid of your hazards and then just click buttons after that while taking a lot of the solid special hits. So Dhelmise is always a decent Pokemon, but I've never been the biggest fan of it, honestly. Aurorus, this was a very good pickup on their team because this thing got Aurora Veil this gen, and I believe we only priced it at about 6 points. So that's a pretty good budget Veil for that. Obviously being 4 times weak to like Steel and Fighting type moves, but still overall a good Pokemon. Can be very solid offensively too. Has a really nice base HP stat around the 120s, I believe. Good overall Pokemon. Gastron, of course, one being very solid, bulky ground and water type, with access to recover, sticky hold so it can't lose its item, or storm drain to where it's immune to water type moves. Both are very beneficial to Gastrodon this week, as I have good knockoff users and a decent water type in Alomomola. But also, if there's the chance that I scald the Gastrodon, because they're not water absorbed, then they can potentially be burned and don't have to worry about being toxic in this matchup. So I feel like Sticky Hold makes a little bit more sense in the matchup. Houndoom, pretty decent fire type, and as well as a dark, I suppose, considering Pursuit's non-existent anymore. Really good with its just stabs and special dark and fire. Decent speed tier. Nothing too special. Mega Houndoom's definitely a lot more of a fiend, and of course that was banned in low tier. But I don't really expect Houndoom to come, though. Venomoth, very terrifying. Very, very terrifying. Tinted Lens abuser for sure. As well as being able to just Quiver Dance up, potentially behind a sub, be Sleep Powder, Quiver Dance, all that good stuff. And that's where it becomes pretty threatening. But luckily we do have an easy way around that, which we'll get to eventually. And then we have Fracture. Fracture picked up, I think Fracture picked up a straight 6-0 for Henry in the first week. Very solid Pokemon. Very high attack stat because of its parent Pokemon in Haxorus. Not the fastest though, so that's easily something we're able to abuse. But if it does get a DD somehow for free, we do have to be careful of that. Alolan Dugtrio, kind of hard for my team to switch into without Alomomola, so that was definitely an important thing to bring this week. Is one of their like only Stealth Rock setters is Alolan Dugtrio and Aurorus. So if Aurorus is both Stealth Rocks and Veil, that pressures a lot for Aurorus to be the obvious lead. So if we don't see Alolan Dugtrio, then I'm just going to give my best lead counter to Aurorus to start off the match. And lastly, Meowstic, decent speedy psychic type with the access to Prankster, so it can do Prankster Thunder Wave and get Prankster screens up. So I have to be careful of that. Having both Veil and screens is very solid. They have really good setup for that as well, like Agility, Vikavolt, the potential Calm Mind, Meloetta, or just Relic Song Meloetta, so you're able to switch your forms freely. SD Delmise, Nasty Plot Houndoom, Quiver Dance Venomoth, Dragon Dance Fracture. They got a lot of solid stuff for that, and they have a lot of memento as well behind those screens, so they can easily set up and win. I feel like they could get better set up, in my opinion, still, but it's still really solid nonetheless. The memento and Alolan Dugtrio and Gastrodon, because I don't think I finished, but yes, very solid team, very interesting this week. So first off, we're going to bring, of course, our captain, or Ace, being the second captain. We got the knockoff Flare Blitz, Drain Punch, and Parting Shot with the heavy duty boots. We have just enough investment to take two, I think it was Choice Specs Volt Switches from Vikavolt just in case, but overall just the HP bulk helps us take hits from the Houndoom, the Delmise, potentially the Meloetta if needed, and the Aurorus. Aurorus will 2-hit KO us with Earth Power if they're really offensive, but in general, if they're like somewhat of a bulky set, we are able to outspeed Aurorus. And with their speed investment, we're also able to outspeed a max speed Delmise and max speed Vikavolt, which is very great in this matchup. And I'm also easily able to parting shot out on Pokemon such as Gastrodon, which is going to be the main check to Incineroar this week. They don't really have a good Incineroar switching apart from Gastrodon, so being able to parting shot out on that and go into Roserade is perfect because Gastrodon gets no form of momentum, apart from Memento, I guess, if you want to count that. But of course, then you lose your Incineroar check. So being able to just bring in Roserade for free, and Roserade very strong offensively this week, would sets up my team fairly well, in my opinion. So Incineroar is looking very solid. The Drain Punch just allows us to pick up a Oko on any offensive Aurorus, 100% sure. If they're bulky, it will be a roll, more than likely. But easily able to get off that Drain Punch and hopefully get some HP back if needed. So if they are completely offensive and they do outspeed me, I'll take an Earth Power. I might take a good amount of damage, but I'll take an Earth Power and then I get the Drain Punch set all back. And with the high natural HP that Aurorus has, Incineroar will be plenty healthy again. And even if I'm not, my Alomomola can easily pass a Whis into Incineroar, potentially at any given point. So Incineroar is looking very solid in the matchup. And next up we have Roserade. I just want something to be like a very easy counter to the Alomomola. We have to run max speed so we can speed tie. I believe it's with Venomoth. Yeah, Venomoth's at base 90 speed. And I'm running the extra sensory, which does pick up a KO on a just speedy Venomoth. Fully offensive, which it needs to be because of Roserade. I do believe that. So I think it's a roll. I think it's like 96 min. So the roll's in our favor to kill. But either way, have to keep that in mind. 3 attacks plus Synthesis. I considered Shadow Ball at first, but as long as we're like a 100% like foolproof Gastrodon switch-in, I want to have Synthesis for longevity because I don't want to force to be my only form of health regen to be in Wish Pass Alomomola. Because if I'm not able to deal with Vikavolt early, that gets Vikavolt in a lot, and if that's Choice Specs, that can be extremely annoying. Because I have to make the right calls on the Volt Switch, Energy Ball, or Bug Buzz between the likes of Steelix and Altaria. So I have to keep all that in mind. But overall, Roserade does plenty of damage versus their team, and is really just there to make sure I always have something that can kill the Gastrodon no matter what. So just have to watch out for that. Next up, we have Steelix. Steelix, of course, is going to be the designated Stealth Rocker, as per usual, with Heavy Slam and Head Smash as its 2 attacking moves. Basically, deals with the entire team. I didn't really need to worry about Earthquake, and bringing Toxic is very helpful for the likes of... for the likes of Pokemon such as Delmise, Gastrodon, potentially Vikavolt if it's a bulky set. Yeah, so those 3 Pokemon don't like getting Toxic, and it's very beneficial for my team. Of course, they do have potential Heal Bell in Florges, but I can gain a lot of momentum by them wasting time with the Heal Bell by opting to go into Roserade and having that thing start to click moves. That would be very perfect for my team. So keeping that in mind, I really just wanted to capitalize on that for a little bit more. And in the next Pokemon, Altaria Bulk, obviously I said I needed a Vikavolt check. I hate that I'm forced to bring like Altaria again, but it's just really good, so I don't really mind it too much. It's just the fact this gives momentum to Meloetta with Triple Axle, Aurorus, literally any form of Aurorus, and potentially Fracture. Yeah, because even though Fracture is still slower, it will obviously outspeed because it will want to be an offensive set, and I'm not bringing anything to touch it in the first place. So, even though like Alomomola can somewhat deal with Fracture, and then Meloetta, I guess I have Incineroar, but if it changes its form to the fighting type, that's more annoying. But Alomomola is decent for that still. But overall, we're just running Flamethrower, Toxic, Roost Defog, Special Defensive Variant, so we can deal with the likes of Vikavolt and Houndoom, and potentially Venomoth if needed, but obviously with the Quiver Dance boost, Flamethrower will be doing less damage over time, and if the Quiver Dance plus Roost, that would just be terrible, so we're just rocking that. Once again, trying to spread the Toxic, and I'm forced to bring Defog just in case Webs from Vikavolt could become annoying for the likes of Roserade in the matchup. Other than that, I don't really think Webs are that big. I guess Incineroar does get outsped by like Vikavolt and Delmise, but I don't think that's going to be that big of an issue in this matchup, so Altaria is going to be very basic in what it does, but it will do a good job nonetheless. Next up, Ninjask. This is a very ideal counter. Originally, I really wanted to bring like Gallade or Exploud because they had amazing matchups, but I had to bring just the best checks to the team overall because with the amount of Veil and setup they have, I want to make sure I can't lose to any shenanigans no matter what. So, Ninjask here, and that explains my last two Pokemon in Alomomola and Ninjask. So, Ninjask, we're running Infiltrator ability with Heavy Duty Boots, and our moves are Swords Dance, Dual Wing Beat, Metal Claw, and Leech Life. Now, this is the perfect counter to Venomoth. So, at +1 speed, Venomoth hits, if it's max speed, it hits 459, which is just perfect amount for jolly max speed Ninjask. I don't have to worry about being speed boost. I can just be max speed Ninjask and have Infiltrator. So yes, even though Dual Wing Beat would immediately break a sub without Infiltrator, the second part of Dual Wing Beat obviously won't pick up a full KO on the Venomoth, and that thing will just KO me with +1 Sludge Bomb easy. Or if it's Tinted Lens, it can even just click Bug Buzz if it wants to be Mono Bug Buzz this week, which is totally viable. So, with that being in mind, Infiltrator is perfect where Dual Wing Beat obviously hits behind sub no matter what, and two Dual Wing Beats will always KO Venomoth unless they're extremely bulky, but if they're bulky, then I feel like that's going to be a little bit easier to deal with because of, they're not able to naturally outspeed everything to begin with. I could probably easily get chip off on it first, unless it's Alomomola. That could be a little bit of a struggle because Alomomola in general is setup fodder, but it's okay. But apart from that, Ninjas can actually like win the game potentially. So I think their best check to this obviously is Aurorus or Alomomola. So I'm easily able to get an SD off versus their team. And if their check is Gastrodon, I'm able to Swords Dance up, assuming I Swords Dance on the switch. Gastrodon comes out, I Swords Dance up again. Scald does a good amount of damage, but if it doesn't burn me, or if it doesn't go for Clear Smog, Ninjask is going to be able to leech life back all the way up to full, and then I'm able to, and that's a 2-hit KO. +4 leech life, 2-hit KOs, max defensive Gastrodon, and then I'm able to 2-hit KO it. So yes, it's considering I don't get burned twice, but even if I do get burned, I am technically able to set up another SD after, because I know I'm going to be getting plenty of health off on the Gastrodon. So, and if I am able to get a Toxic off on it from Steelix or the Altaria, or my Alomomola onto the Gastrodon, then Ninjask is looking a lot better in the end game anyways. In general, I don't really have a setup and win type of game this week. It's just more of a well-balanced team with Breakers and Incineroar and Roserade, and then just defensive checks. Ninjask is a mix between just being a designated check and being a potential sweeper. Obviously, it's going to be better for me overall if it is just a check to Venomoth, but if Incineroar is healthy, I might not have to worry about that, and potentially I think it can get the win. So keeping all that in mind, Ninjask might actually be able to get a sweep, which not many people have seen apart from like a speed boost set. So an Infiltrator's Ninjask sweep would actually be pretty cool, in my opinion. And then lastly, we are bringing the Alomomola because otherwise I will just straight up lose to a Alolan Dugtrio. There's nothing else to say about that. Obviously, with like Stone Edge, it's easily able to check Altaria. My team is fairly grounded overall, so defensive Alomomola is helpful for me to be able to deal with that. Wish, Protect, because I need to be able to get as much longevity out of my leftovers as I can. And if Hail is up, it would be nice to stall that so I don't take unnecessary chip. Toxic, of course, is just to get on like annoying Pokemon, such as the Gastrodon, potentially the Delmise. But in general, I might want to try and Scald Burn the Pokemon, like Scald Burn Delmise. And it just gives me a for sure hitting move on the Alolan Dugtrio. So, yep, that just about does it for the matchup here this week. And the team build, I took a little bit longer than I wanted to on that, but that is okay. I like to go full in depth for y'all on my builds. So here we are for the replay, and looking into the matchup, they opted to bring Venomoth, Aurorus, Vikavolt, Delmise, Gastrodon, and Alolan Dugtrio. So it is a very good thing I opted to bring Alomomola over Exploud or Glade, because otherwise this Dugtrio would have ruined my day. Not seeing Meloetta makes me very, very happy, but they still brought huge threats. They definitely had like about 7, maybe 8 Pokemon they could bring, Meloetta being the other one basically. So I'm not very surprised by this team, but not seeing Meloetta does make this a lot easier for me. So I really have to be careful what I'm doing here. But in general, Incineroar is very free to lead versus their team. It deals with both of their Stealth Rockers and Alolan Dugtrio and Aurorus. I'm able just to either kill both if I want. Aurorus, I would obviously stay in 100% and click for Drain Punch. There's no reason for me not to. If it's Focus Sash, then that's whatever. I'm able to work around that accordingly with like Alomomola and stuff. And then if it's Dugtrio lead, even if I get the Intimidate off, I'm probably going to go hard into Aloe. And then I'm just freely able to click Toxic on the second turn because Dugtrio should not stay in. And I highly doubt they want to go hard Venomoth immediately without scouting the rest of my team. So knowing that, I'm going to lead Incineroar here as they lead Vikavolt. And I was like, cool, I can either stay in and just click Flare Blitz, but overall the best play is Knock Off because that deals with any potential thing they want to bring in. And then I get to see if the Gastrodon is Sticky Hold. But they stayed in on the knockoff. We get rid of Choice Specs, which is very nice. They go in the Alolan Dugtrio. I'm just going hard Aloe, like I mentioned before. They can get up rocks. I don't care. I can defog pretty easily with Altaria. So if I did Flare Blitz turn 1, this Vikavolt would be gone, and that would have gave me a lot more momentum. But I wasn't really expecting a Choice Specs Vikavolt like that just to be kind of thrown away that easily. Excuse me. Because even if I Parting Shot there, I'm going into Steelix, because you're more than likely Volt Switching. So I was just kind of surprised by that play turn 1. But we're able to Toxic it here, and I'm just going to Protect, just to get off a little bit more chip on it, because I know since it's a Choice Spec set, it's probably not carrying Roost. So the more chip I get to wear down this thing, and the sooner it potentially dies to rocks is perfect for my team. I'm going to go on Altaria, what I expected to be the Energy Ball here, and that's perfect timing, because they obviously would expect me to block the Volt Switch with Steelix, and this allows me just to go ahead and defog with Altaria as they Volt Switch with Vikavolt. Still doing a good amount of damage, but that's totally fine, as they go out to Aurorus. Now, I'm going to go hard Incineroar, even though they did get off damage immediately, because I think they either go for Veil here, or they just go for Freeze Dry, in case they think my designated switch in is Aloe. But we're able to go out into Incineroar, and I'm going to click Drain Punch here. If they're like speedy offensive Earth Power, they might be able to kill us here, but we're faster, and we kill it with Drain Punch. Crit might have mattered, like I said, if they had some bulk, it could have been a roll. But either way, we're able to Drain Punch, get back to full basically, and kill the Aurorus, which is beautiful. They go Dugtrio, I'm going Aloe 100% always. And based off that damage, that I believe that is Choice Banded Dugtrio, which was a little surprising since they went for rocks before. But who hasn't brought a Choice Stealth Rock Pokemon before? It's a good bring. So we're just going to wish up here, and I decided to go hard Incineroar because I take any hit from this Vikavolt if it wants to stay in and die to poison. And even if it Volt Switches, they go into Gastrodon, I get my wish back, and then I'm able to Parting Shot out the next turn. So this gave me the most momentum out of that wish. I didn't really need to keep Alomomola in for the wish because it is going to get the Regenerator health back. They go Dugtrio once again. I just go right back into Alomomola. As they click EQ, that does a good amount of damage, but we do get our lefties. And 100%, I just need to go for Wish here again. As they, or I do go for Scald because I'm a crazy man. Because Aloe has Regenerator, so it is pretty easy to do that. No burn, unfortunately. We see lefties on the Delmise. So I'm just going to go hard Steelix here because I am able to Toxic that with this if needed, or potentially just get up my Stealth Rocks. As they go for Rapid Spin, I was like, okay, this thing could be a little bit of a threat, so I'm going to make sure I go ahead and Toxic now. As they go for an SD, I was like, okay, this thing is being a threat. But Steelix unfortunately can't do like anything to this, so I decided to go hard Altaria here on the potential Power Whip just to get the most out of the poison damage. But they do miss the Power Whip. Wasn't going to be doing that much in the first place as a 4x resist versus Altaria, even if they are Sword Stance up. So I decided to go hard Aloe on what I thought would be the Shadow Claw or Earthquake, because I figured they would want like something for Incineroar. So if they're Rapid Spin plus Sword Stance, I figured, okay, maybe it's Power Whip plus Earthquake and they didn't expect Altaria. But either way, if it's a Ghost type move, I want to scalp by going hard into Aloe. But they go for Anchor Shot, and I was really surprised by this. Just to see this Steel type move, I didn't think that was necessary at all versus my team, because like it's still resisted from Incineroar. I thought they would at least just go the Shadow type move, or Ghost type move, lol. But either way, obviously with Steel Worker, just going with a Steel type move makes it no difference. It is a Stab type move nonetheless, and Anchor Shot is able to is able to trap, which is very good for them. So I'm like worried here. I was like, okay, well they know I have Protect, and I like to click it for more toxic damage. So I'm gonna click Skull just in case. As they opt to go for actually the Power Whip here, I guess predicting that. But they do miss, unfortunately, because Power Whip sucks. And I'm able to get the Skull off. We just get like a whopping 5% damage. And I just plan on clicking Protect until I die now, basically, because Aloe's trapped. There's nothing I can do. But they switch out. I'm very surprised by that, because if they're able to kill Aloe, that gives like a lot more freebies for their team, I feel, but it's also potentially free setup for Venomoth, so that might have been their reasoning for switching out and keep Aloe, try to catch it off guard with that later on. So I just try to click Protect, of course, as they go into this thing, so I was like, okay, cool, whatever, this is a free Scald for me, nothing to worry about, as they just go for Stealth Rocks again. We get off a very good chunk versus the Dugtrio. And then I'm going to opt to click Wish here, I believe. Yeah, I do click Wish on what I expect to switch because I knew they were Choice Band. And then I'm just going to go right into Roserade, as they do opt to make a double and go right back into the Dugtrio, which is good on their part, but it doesn't really matter too much because Aloe does just hard wall this Dougie. As they opt to go for the Memento. Now this is very interesting. After they get it off, they opt to go into their Venomoth, of course, because this is their win con. This is how they're trying to set up and win. I'm able to go hard Incineroar. I don't need to worry and go hard Ninjask in case they go for an immediate like attacking move. That would throw away a designated check. And yes, even though Incineroar would be able to come in freely after anyways, I kind of want to do the safest play overall, which I believe is just going Incineroar. Plus, if there's Sleep Powder, then that easily makes it to where Incineroar goes to sleep. After they click the Sleep Powder, I'm 100% going hard Ninjask to them, because then I'm fairly confident they would want to set up immediately. So as they go for the sub on the switch in for Incineroar, this is fine. I just get to click Blitz. If they Quiver Dance, I'm not scared of it at all because the Ninjask and Incineroar can still take a +1 hit. So I click Flare Blitz. We take a little bit of recoil, break their sub. I'm just spamming Flare Blitz until I die, basically. They go for Bug Buzz. They do 54%, so we wouldn't have even been 2-hit KO'd by 2 Bug Buzzes from before the Quiver Dance. And we're able to knock out the Venomoth. So Ninjask isn't able to show off its special Infiltrator ability and its speed, but nonetheless, we appreciate it. They make a double here after I go Roserade on their Gastrodon. Doesn't really matter at this point. Incineroar takes any hit from this thing now that I've seen it set. So I just go hard Incin. As they go for the Anchor Shot, they do like absolutely nothing, and I'm able to go for Knockoff here. If they go into the Gastrodon, it doesn't matter. I Parting Shot out once again. And at that moment, Roserade should be able to pick up the KO on Delmise anyways, since I know it's not a Soul Vest. It should be in Sludge Bomb range. So right here, I'm just going to Parting Shot out on the Gastrodon, go hard Roserade, and we're able to pick up a very nice 6-0. Very happy about this game. Of course, it would have been Not a 6-0 if they landed the power whip, but other than that, the game was basically in my favor the entire time. I'm just very happy I did opt to bring Aloe and make sure I had something that was able to wall the Alolan Dugtrio, because that could have been a very big pain for my team otherwise. So being able to do that, very, very easy, and very good overall win. I think it's very satisfying to get a 6-0 to where it's actually like a balanced game and you're not 6-0 sweeping someone with one Pokemon. A 6-0 sweep feels good, but feeling like that you played properly the entire game and didn't lose a single Pokemon, that also feels good. That feels really good to me. So we're doing really well at this point. I believe that makes us 3-0 plus 14 in differential, which is beautiful. Sitting at the top of the leaderboard still. Every bit of, or a good amount of Pokemon on the team have decent kills, well spread on the kill leader MVP tracker. I do hope Comfey is able to get a solid matchup soon, because I would like to potentially get a sweep with Comfey once again. But for now, I'm very happy with where we are, and please let me know down in the comment section what you thought of the battle. And yeah, I mean, that's going to be it for me. I didn't mention this before, but it is obviously late because of Thanksgiving this week. I hope for any other fellow Americans who had a nice Thanksgiving, I hope you did it safely. Traveling and being around your grandparents is extremely risky this time of year because we're still in a pandemic. So please stay safe so we can actually have one next year. I know a vaccine will be rolling out and everything, but just be safe and be smart. Everyone would appreciate it. Okay. Sub, like, shares, and I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.